Spirituality is not religion.
Most of those are in the area that you cannot control.
And people are just fighting with each other.
And people are just fighting with each other, right?
Have empathy for everyone, but don't carry your heart on the sleeve because you're going to get hurt.
There are things that you can control, and there are things you cannot control, and there are things you can influence. Most people actually get stressed about things that they cannot control. My team just lost, and I'm very stressed about it in the game, right? So today, we are going to talk about something very exciting, which I've been thinking for a while that we should do.
Okay.
And you know what that is?
What is it?
It's about stress.
Look at where we are.
So we picked a perfect spot to talk about stress. And I believe stress is the most important thing that a lot of professionals deal with.
Yes.
And I personally have faced that a lot. So I thought, this would be good that we should talk about that on how to manage stress. So what stress is that anytime you have a mental worry or a mental anxiety because of an event that is challenging the state of your well-being, meaning something is creating worry in your head. That's stress. In simple words, right? The challenge is many people don't understand that what's causing it and how to manage it, right?
Yes.
And how to even understand that they are under stress.
Yes.
Like people say that I'm under stress for different conditions, but they don't fully comprehend what that means.
So Adnan, what are the symptoms of stress?
I'm going to start off with body, which is something which is highly overlooked.
Our body is so intelligent, it tells you everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people run into stomach issues, right?
Oh yeah.
So if whenever you are stressed, you'll feel that you have stomach disorder, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of
it's relatable.
it's relatable, right? Stomach problems. There are some weight gain problems too.
Yes.
People get into that, right?
Yes.
People get belly fat, love handles. Exactly.
Yes.
So those are some problems. People don't understand why it's causing it. They go to a doctor and they feel like we need to do exercise and nutrition, but the problem could be something
because
else.
we live in a capitalistic market, so everything is for sale.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. So body is one area, the mind is other, right? You may be anxious, you may not be able to sleep well.
Yes.
And then it's going to come out in different forms. You may get agitated quickly.
Yes.
There could be an anger. You get frustrated quickly.
Yes.
At work, you may not be able to perform effectively, or you may not be able to handle challenge.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking as you're speaking, there's so many people out there that have similar symptoms. And then what do? They find some kind of a high with either alcohol or drugs or something. Or they think, oh, I'm having some midlife hormonal changes because of which I have accumulated body fat. No, I mean, it's making sense. So Adnan, tell me about the types of stress.
So the stress could be of multiple types. Typically when we look at ourselves or do our own emotional analysis, we're going to feel that, we have our personal life, our work life. At work life, you could have a very stressful timeline that you're managing.
Correct.
You may have a stressful manager that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
On the personal side, it could be relationship issues, it could be health issues, financial issues.
True.
People have issues with their kids.
Yes.
So there could be many different issues. And the one that I want to talk about these days is the stress that people are getting from the news, from the external media.
Oh, it's so true.
Social media, right?
Yeah.
And those are some changes that you cannot actually control, right? But you do ingest all that information, you process it, and then at the end you get stressed about that.
Yes.
So we'll talk about how we can handle some of that.
Wow, yeah. Very relatable stuff, right?
Yeah. So Arveen, I'm gonna tell our viewers. So Arveen is doing a very specific regime to handle stress for a very long time. In fact, I learned a lot from her, and she definitely impacted my lifestyle.
Really?
Right? So I want you to share this with our viewers. Like, how do you cope with stress, and what are the strategies you employ?
Thank you, Adnan. Well, we all have stress in our lives, and I have a simple routine. I'm, I believe in mind, body, and soul because that's what our body is made up of. So, how do you heal your mind? Mind is very intelligent. Our brain is constantly thinking. And as we think, we sometimes overpower the problems that may not be that big. We make a mountain out of a mole in our head because we're trying to do things that we can't, really influence in certain ways, right? So for me, mind, you treat your mind with meditation. And I try to meditate every morning. For the body, it's about fitness. So do something that allows you to be fit. Like right now, just being outside in nature is healing. You can take a walk here, you can run, you can, just something that suits you and suits your body and your journey in life, right? And then finally, soul. For soul, you have to heal with spirituality.
This is another area that I struggle with, right? How do you define like soul versus like mind? How do you differentiate?
I think mind has things to do with your brain. Your mind is controlled by your heart and your brain. Your soul is right here. So I practice yoga.
Like the energy, right? Like you
Yes.
talked about when you're breathing, right? That's the
Or just
like-
this energy that we're generating talking to each other, or the energy that's coming from the nature, the ocean right now, or the wind that's blowing over here. It's energy. That's spirituality. You cannot buy spirituality somewhere. Spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is how you connect the real self, who we are, with nature. So
that's beautiful. That's very well said.
Yeah.
You cannot really buy that.
You cannot. You
Yeah.
cannot buy that.
So it's how you think about yourself, how you embrace your surroundings, the nature,
Yeah.
and eventually the goal is to calm you down.
Absolutely.
So I started doing a lot of research on stress because I had some medical issues, and the doctor told me that it could likely be due to stress.
Yeah.
And I had a very demanding job throughout
still
my
do?
career. I do. So I needed a way to find those effective strategies on how to manage stress.
Yes.
Right. So I started to first get into what really is a stress. First thing that I distinguished was there are two forms of stress, right? So or the sources of stress.
Yeah.
So either the source could be internal,
Yeah.
that you may be responsible for, or things that you can control, or it could be external, right?
Okay.
So now in the external world, there are typically three things. So as you can see on the chart, right, there are things that you can control, and there are things you cannot control, and there are things you can influence. You see, the things you cannot control has a larger circle. Most people actually get stressed about things that they cannot control. For example, my team just lost and I'm very stressed about it in the game, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a war going on and, there is all that. So there is empathy for everyone, right? Because of all
But you
that
can't
humanity
control it.
situation, but you cannot control. You can certainly influence.
Yeah.
So if you want to influence some of that,
Yeah.
then that's going to add some positivity to it.
Yeah.
But just staying in that area
Yeah.
where you're just debating and doing discussions, right? Like, talk about political discussions that go on the forum, right? That this president should be doing this country should be doing that. And all those discussions go on and we fight with each other.
So true. So relatable.
So, so this is very common, right? Look at all the discussion forums on social media. Most of those are in the area that you cannot
And
control.
people are just fighting with each other.
And people are just fighting with each other, right? So that actually adds to the stress. That's gonna degrade your relationship with people,
Yeah.
right? And it's not productive at all,
Yeah.
right?
And you
It's
cannot control it.
and you cannot control it,
Yes.
right? So the first thing I tend to do is I try to figure out, is this event that we are discussing or I'm stressed about, can I control it? If I
Smart.
cannot control it, I sort of try to deflect it, right? Or
Very
try
good.
to ignore it.
Yeah.
But then I also start to see, can I influence it, right? If there is a some kind of humanitarian crisis going on,
Yeah.
and I'll say, you know what, I may be able to donate, right? I may be able to do some charity there
Good.
that's gonna help them,
Yeah.
or it's gonna make me feel better as well, right?
Yeah.
So those are some mechanisms that I think that people should focus on. So how have you dealt with the situation?
Well, similarly, I would say, there's a lot we cannot influence. And let's face it, life comes with ups and downs. So certain things that I cannot control, I usually try to, during meditation, cleanse my body and push them out. It's an attentive meditation where I try to say, this is something that's toxic and uncontrolled. I don't call it uncontrolled, but something that's not serving my body right, and I just push it out. So that's
So how is it easy? Because a lot of people find it hard to really shove it out or take it out of their minds.
It's consciousness, Adnan. I think, even the word meditation, when I go on the web and I search it, I start laughing. There is so much information that is so misdirecting. If you just want to meditate, sit here and meditate. Just sit on one of the rocks, sit here and just cleanse your mind. Just think, what is not serving my body right? What can I do that's not serving my brain well? And I'm going to make a conscious effort to release that. I'm going to keep everything that's positive in my body. That's, I think about it this way: my brain, my third eye, give me the consciousness to see what is good for me, right? Speak the right words and don't speak a lot, right? Because sometimes our problem is we speak too much. And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
So I have to consciously tell myself not to speak too much. And then even love, be able to have empathy for everyone, but don't carry your heart on the sleeve because you're going to get hurt, So have empathy, have compassion, but don't carry your heart on the sleeve. A lot of our, hormonal issues happen because of our reproductive organs, because we're so stressed that everything is going messed up, especially for women. So I make a conscious effort to release that and let it go. In your mind's eye, just let it go and say, keep everything that's serving me well.
I think this is great. And I feel like at the end, our goal is that happiness.
Yes.
Right? Like that contentment.
That's the word, Adnan. Happiness.
Happiness. So I feel like, we should do another session just on happiness.
So you know what? We're going to go from stress and what types of stress and what stresses we encounter. So wait and stay tuned, because our next episode is going to be seeking happiness.